I have to explain what this show is. It's very different. We had some microphone problems. I'm the Strom Thurmond of podcasting. So we had some microphone problems, and we lost a lot of the audio that I had been doing. We fortunately have the audio from all of the performers and the guests on the show because they are amazing. So we had to go back and piece it together, and that's what this is. You're going to hear some live portions and then some studio portions. So that should explain, and sit back, relax, and enjoy what is an incredible show right here on the Self-Help Comedy Hour with Ed Crasnick. Glad you're listening.
Direct from Venice, California, and the cows and the coffee bar, steps from the world famous Venice Pier. It's the Self-Help Comedy Hour, starring Ed Crasnick. And here is Ed Crasnick.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Self-Help Comedy Hour with Ed Crasnick. My name is Ed. I'm your host. We're the world's first self-help variety show. We unite self-help experts and people from the world of entertainment. We know that you have a choice of self-help variety shows to listen to, and we thank you for listening to this one. We have a great show for you. It's an enormous show. It really is. And I want to tell you who's here, first of all. We have a show with a cast of thousands. It's a night of 1,000 people and 1,000 insecurities. We have the comedy team, a great comedy team. They've had shows on MTV, Comedy Central, pilots, television shows, amazing sketch show, stage, live. They're a terrific comedy duo, and they are Mann and Gareth Reynolds, Evan and Gareth. So they'll be here shortly. And then along with Evan and Gareth, a young woman who wrote me a note, and a student at Princeton University who's actually doing a very interesting study on the connection between mental health, depression, and comedic brilliance. She's being paid by Princeton University, goes all over the country to talk to comics, and we're going to talk to her and see about what she's found in her studies and why I'm at the top of the list, and not for comedy. And then we have a very unique performer, someone who has done stand-up for many years, great stand-up comic, and dropped out of comedy to pursue a spiritual lifestyle, studied with many teachers, many gurus, became a yoga instructor, and then combined her spirituality with stand-up, sort of doing conscious comedy, spiritual comedy all over the world. Also a writer, somebody who's contributed to the new book called No Kidding, which is women writers on bypassing parenthood. And you'll hear all about it with Vanda Mikoloski. Vanda is here. We're going to talk to her. I want to get to the show very quickly because we have so much going on, but we always do the emotional shout-outs every week. This week is going to be no exception, so let's get right to them. If there's a musical of your life, oh boy. If they were making a musical of your life, if a musical of your life would be made, it would be called I'm Miserable. Welcome. If the closest you can come to saying love is the word loofah, welcome. If you're on an emotional escalator, but you're the one that's going down, welcome. If your therapist suggests twerking as a means of therapy, welcome. If you're breathing like Frank and Blue Velvet, welcome. If you say the words, I hate to bother you, when asking a waitress for a napkin, welcome. If you think Breaking Bad is actually boring, welcome. If you list lying to yourself as a skill on your resume, welcome. And if you're beating yourself up even now, welcome. There's always a place for you right here on the Self-Help Comedy Hour with Ed Crasnick. We're heard each and every Thursday and Sunday nights on WreckingBallRadio.net. All right, so we always play a song for the people at home, for you folks listening right now. And this is a terrific song and an unusual song. It's from a movie years ago called Fame, and it is a gospel song, and it's just fantastic. So here, right now, is an incredible choral group singing Never Alone.
temptation sharp and keen. I felt a peace in knowing my Savior set me free. He said to heal me the danger, when everything I fall. He promised never to leave me, no, never alone. Never alone, never alone. Oh,
Okay, welcome back to the Self-Help Comedy Hour with Ed Crasnick. That was the contemporary gospel chorus of the High School of Music and Art performing Never Alone from the movie Fame. Now we're going to talk to two old friends, a comedy team that are terrific, and they've been around for a little while now, making television shows. They've been making pilots, their own shows for MTV, Comedy Central, hosting a show on the Travel Channel, and a lot of videos, a lot of comedic videos. They've created shows. They've been in the Harold and Kumar films. They're actors in their own right, and it's just a pleasure to sit down with them. They're very funny. Here's my conversation with Evan Mann and Gareth Reynolds, the comedy team of Evan and Gareth. Hi, guys. We're like the Beatles here. We have microphones, and we all have to share.
Is that all it takes to be like the Beatles?
Yep.
Alrighty! We are like the Beatles!
Before this dance is...
Yeah. Oh, no, you didn't say anything about music.
No, there's no
music.
music.
No, just the microphone
Just the
and
other
sharing
part.
it.
No, the talking Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
Just the other part of it. Now,
We're smaller than Jesus.
not bad.
We're less big.
Not bad.
Thank you.
Now, you guys, first of all, you have been busy creating television programs or hosting them.
Sure.
True.
And that is a very unusual process and a crazy process. But it's no more unusual than how you met and started.
J-Date, you mean?
Yes.
By the way, I'm excited for tomorrow's Facebook feed with Roy. He's really snapping these pictures. Tomorrow's Facebook feed.
Roy
is
and
Day.
Roy and Alec Baldwin were in a tussle yesterday. Now, okay, so I'm talking about the Axe situation.
Oh, sure.
Most people.
Well, that's not how we met. Twinsies! Crazy!
That's why it's special.
Yeah.
That's why it's special. Now, talk about you met in college, right?
We met in college, yeah.
Okay, let's get over that.
Okay, I thought it went pretty good, though. It seemed like a very interesting fact.
College?
No.
No. All right. So then you're approached by how did that happen? You're approached by a company from college.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
you should
it
get
wasn't-
closer in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Jesus
Totally.
Christ.
Bring it in,
No.
baby. Bring it in.
It's a podcast, right?
Take the sharing stick.
What we were actually doing like freelance marketing writing for this alternative marketing company, and we would like literally sit in a room to come up with like, hey, if Sierra Mist were like a rapper, what rapper would they be like?
Out of college, you have this job.
Yeah, pretty soon
Yeah.
after college. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was like freelance. It wasn't
Yeah.
like we weren't, hired employees.
Sure.
No, but we were high. So high.
Very high.
Well, half of our audience is high.
Good.
And,
Perfect.
and the other half is trying to get pot.
Uh-huh.
All right. So now, so what happens? So you get approached by.
So then we did like a thing. We were like, we'll do a thing where Axe runs a late night infomercial. So we wrote this thing. So we threw ourselves on tape, just being like, it'll be like this or whatever. And then they came back and they were like, we want to send you guys on the road for half a year to talk to women and do this website called evanandgareth.com, which we fit right into because those are our names.
It's perfect.
And
essentially we were,
they picked an obscure name.
So what's the job?
I don't know.
yeah, we still haven't figured it out.
We made
7
like
years later.
We made like 100 and 200 videos or something like that for Axe. Just like literally just going up to women randomly on the street and just being like,
doing moves.
yeah, doing moves.
So the idea was that you're going to try and pick up women.
yes.
That was the idea.
And how did that work out?
Well, I mean, look at us now.
Yeah.
Evan's married and has a dog, and
2 dogs.
oh, that's right. I forgot about the new one.
So it's all happening.
Yeah, it was okay. A lot of it was kind of fake and bullshitty,
Yeah.
which I think bothered us.
Yeah.
Because I think it would be funnier to actually like see women just be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
But so a lot of it was like fake, and
Yeah. Well, and then years later, this has been like a running theme, though, because you've done other shows where part of it is you guys teaching people how to communicate with women.
Well, actually, what happened was that show.
Say actually.
Very good. We have to, branding
Yeah.
wise. No, what happened was that show actually landed. Well, we ended up selling the kind of website into a television show. We made a pilot for Comedy Central that was horrible. And
Was
through
that the title of it?
Yeah, this is horrible.
Bad
Don't
title.
That was the quote underneath, like what the critics said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was why we did that. We did that based off of like the Axe website, and it was something.
And then another
fascinating.
show that you did for MTV called Failosophy. Mm-hmm. Love that title.
Thank you. What was your favorite episode of Failosophy, Ed?
I
I'm
liked
curious.
episode 6 when they.
Which one was that? Who are the
drug dealer came in.
panelists?
Snoop Dogg.
Oh, the Snoop Dogg one, right?
You would have thought we would have got better ratings when Snoop Dogg was on.
We did it.
All right. So what now? Where does it go wrong with these kind of projects? What happens? Can you tell right away?
No. What happens is this. There's this documentary about Monty Python where they talk about going to sell Monty Python to the BBC.
Yeah.
And they basically have nothing. They don't have a title. They don't know what it is. They just know Terry Gilliam will do drawings. And they go through a horrible scattered pitch. And the guy goes, bloody hell, you haven't done your homework. And then he goes, right, we'll do 12. And they just picked up 12 episodes. And they sort of let you do your thing. I think now there is this stipulation that a network has to be creative. And a lot of times that means that you as a creative person are dealing with another person who's trying to be creative, but maybe doesn't understand the world that you have kind of presented and want to work within. And then it's a lot of it is like fighting through legal stuff. And then a lot of it is just sort of saying like, okay, I guess I can't pitch my way out of this. We'll just scrap it, So there is a lot. You do get really frustrated when things are not as awesome as they could be.
And how do you handle that?
Drinking.
Okay, that's an honest thing.
Thank you.
I mean, you guys are always there. That's what's great about having a team is that you're always there to support each other.
Somebody can
you have a
always
witness.
drive. Exactly.
You have a witness. Look,
There's
somebody
always a
can always
driver.
drive.
Somebody can always drive.
And when shit goes wrong, you want a witness.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right. And somebody taking notes.
Yep.
Matt, and so communication, you guys, I don't think I've ever seen you have an argument.
Well, I mean, you haven't been around us a ton, to be honest. So, I mean,
Well, why do you have to shout?
I'm trying to start an argument. No, Evan, go ahead. You had something.
What-
Believe it or not, Ed, we have had arguments.
and what happens?
I think we're just like two normal guys. I mean, we talk about it. That escalates into fighting normally. Then just like we just wail on each other until it's out of our systems.
Okay, here. What we normally do, Ed, how we normally handle that
Yeah.
is it's all very, like, it's fine. It's never, I don't think, I mean, I'm sure we've had, like, arguments where we've, like, shouted at each other because we worked on a travel show where we were, like, in charge of it and we were, like, in it and we were doing crazy shit and competing against each other, at some point you're going to just be like,
Yeah.
dude, not now. You know what I mean? So that's just bound to happen.
There was a show called Mancations.
That's right.
It was about men having vacations.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's the craziest thing you guys did? Some really
Well, we actually did fight each other. I mean, that was one of
Yeah.
the craziest things. We in like San Diego, we did this MMA training. We also went to Navy SEAL training.
yeah.
We went to space camp.
Which I don't want to say Bin Laden was our get.
Yeah, well, he wasn't.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
you could.
That's why I don't want to say
You don't want to
it.
say it?
Yeah, you
I
shouldn't.
don't want to say it
I
because
don't
it's
wanna
not
say it.
near the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Not even close.
You should never
Exactly.
run for office now.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. No, I saw some amazing things. There was a height thing that you did. You were afraid. You had a height issue on
Gareth
a
has
bridge.
a height issue.
You had a height issue.
Afraid of heights, yeah.
And you were really scared.
I get scared at heights. It's part of my phobia.
And
of
they
it.
said, let's put you up 90,000 feet.
Yeah, they go, let's go to a rainforest and zip line.
And you said,
Okay, as long as I get my after day rate.
I'm contractually obligated.
yeah. That's amazing. Wow. So you do, but communication is very important, and being in a team is like it's a very prominent relationship in your life, right?
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, have you guys had relationships with other men? No, with other people.
Have we seen other partners?
No, you're in a relationship, and maybe they feel jealous about the time that you spend together or how close you are.
I've never had that.
No, I don't. I mean, I think we are able to do, like, I think we just tend to do a ton of stuff together. So we have the
Right.
freedom, I think, to do, if there's something you want to do, you can do it. But I think we always, when it comes to like trying to get TV shows or like other projects, I think we kind of link up just because we now have a relationship that is very streamlined. Like, we don't need, we've been, I almost don't even think about it because we've been working together since college, that it just seems very natural to, write and work together.
I mean, we're allowed to fuck other people.
No, nope. Don't think
that's what
that's.
he's asking.
I don't think it was. I feel like I don't know.
That is what I'm asking. I think it's great that you can be open about it, and I think that your openness helps me to. No, it doesn't really. Anyway,
Are you trying to wedge yourself into the middle of this?
In a
Are you
way.
trying to be the other man?
in a way.
In a
and
way
then
being
in a way
totally?
not.
Okay,
No,
all
in
right.
a way. So now here's something and I always force you to do this, and you don't.
And
have
it
to,
is
you don't want to.
freezing in here.
It is so chilly.
Why is it so cold?
I don't know. Let's get the heat on though. This is
I will-
brutal.
The heat is on. We're going to do that song next. And I will tell you that I once did a show. There was a backers audition, and it was in New York, and the air conditioning went out.
That's always a
And
good
it was
thing in here.
August.
Oh, good.
And
Good month.
It was 90,000 degrees, and I went out, and I'm not kidding. In the front row were Woody Allen's sister, who from his production company, Herb Alpert, who's a big Broadway theatrical producer, Dina Merrill, and Cliff Robertson, and like 5 other people that you could look at and go, oh my God, that's that person. And Marshall Brickman, who wrote Annie Hall with
Okay.
Woody Allen. They're sitting
Anything
in
I've
the front
heard
row.
of though?
No.
Okay.
And they're sitting in the front row. And I was doing a pretty good show, but I looked out halfway through, and Marcia Brickman's head was on fire. It was actually in flames.
That's distracting.
Yeah, his head was on fire. And
Sweet of her to stick around.
yeah, it was nice. At any rate, will you just indulge me for a second?
Yeah.
Now, you are very good communicators about teaching people about male-female relationships, being 2 men. Can you? Let's say that one of you
Sure.
was a lady, and the other one was not a lady. How would you teach us just sort of the good way to approach? What should you do? How does it go? Can you maybe do something like how would you? Do you jump right into it?
I
or do
mentioned
you,
that we mainly just hired people, right?
right.
Okay. So yeah. All right. Sure.
But let's say, for example, you're trying to work something out, and it's sort of like you want to practice on each other. Right.
Right.
What would you do?
So just like,
Like you're dating.
Right.
oh, we're dating.
You're trying to date. You're
We're not
interested.
sure.
You're not sure you're going to take the leap, maybe.
Right.
And
All
wo-
right, Ed, we're taking the bait.
All
Okay,
right,
good.
here we go.
All right,
All
good.
right.
Good.
All right.
Hi.
That took forever.
I was just wanted to wash my hands.
Well, I hope they're clean now.
Yeah. I mean,
You're sweating. Your arms are sweating.
it's really hot in here, and I think it's like I'm getting a lot of, I'm getting these positive energy vibes coming off of you. Am I crazy? I feel like I'm feeling something.
No, you're not crazy. I mean, like, I guess a lot of times when I'm around you, I feel open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. No, like I mean, open as in like willing. You're like open to try new things.
No. I mean, I just feel like you're like I can be me.
Oh, great, good. That's who I want you to be. I think I don't know you yet, but
Well, because a lot of times with guys, I'll be a fake person.
oh,
Yeah, and I'll like fake it. You know.
what do you mean? I'm sorry.
Like I'll just like fake it. I'll just like say what I know they want to hear, and I won't bring up my complicated stuff.
What's your complicated stuff?
That my parents used to box each other, and that my first animal was a dog with 2 heads, and we had to put it down. Stuff like that, and that I steal lighters.
You know, I think I'm double parked.
Okay, cool. Roll.
Yeah,
Bye.
See, that's instructive. That's instructive.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing that. And I really think I could book you guys in doing that and getting a lot of money for communication techniques.
Well, Ed, we're big fans of money. Both of us are on record.
You've heard of it.
We're big fans.
All right.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing now? What are you working on? What's the project? Or is there something that you're doing, or something that's going on personally that you maybe you'd like to share with people who might be listening?
Oh, you wanted to share that personal thing.
Nope. We don't have a. Right now, we're trying to figure out what our next thing is. We're sort of just
Sure.
Gestating. Yeah.
I like that. That's a great name for a production company, by the way.
Gestating.
Gestation Productions.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can we have?
It's ours now.
Yeah.
It's better
I
than
just
my
closed
name,
on it.
which is No Way Productions.
It's good to have something like that, though.
Yeah.
And that's a good little FU at
definite.
the end.
Or you
Yeah.
could name your TV show Failosophy and see what happens.
Yeah, or you could have your TV show actually fail and then be like, oh, I'm glad we called it that. That won't stick with us forever. We shot this other MTV pilot that was more about us, and we shot it like down the street from where I live in this house, and I was like, when we got it, I was like, oh, it's so great, like I can just walk to where we're shooting. But then they passed on it, and it never occurred to me that would just become this house that I'd drive by like, I hate that house. You know, in my head I was like, a convenient stroll, and then in reality it's like,
You're like, that's TV Gareth's house.
yeah, I was like, that's where some dreams died.
Jesus.
What's up here on the left?
And
a
some-
dog.
And sometimes you can't tell between where does the real Gareth and the TV Gareth, because they both live in
I
the same
believe,
place.
I believe the real Gareth died a couple years ago.
Wow.
I really do. I think he's dead.
It is. He's making a comeback, though. I can see.
I
Just
hope
in
so.
this little sketch here.
Yeah.
Oh, you like that?
I think something might have ignited. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to call you the igniter.
Why do you have underwear on the table?
Well, we're going to deal with that in our next segment.
Oh, boy.
That's a cliffhanger.
Good.
Yeah, that's called a billboard.
Awesome.
I don't know what it's called. All right.
There
You guys, it's always so great to see you.
Ed.
Thank you. Evan Mann, Gareth Reynolds,
God bless.
evanandgareth.com.
Yeah.
I love you guys. Thank you so much. We have one of the finest blues bands in all of Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen. That's not according to me, that's according to Reverb Nation. ReverbNation.com, calling them one of the finest blues bands in all of Los Angeles, and they really are. We're very lucky to have them. I think you're really going to enjoy them. And they are made up of Khalil Sabah, Ginger Smith on vocals, and also she writes all the songs, and then Chris Flanders and Drew Wicks. Amazing. Give it up. Give it up. Please welcome the Hardshine Blues Band, and then we'll be right back in the Self-Help Comedy Hour. Enjoy.
I still remember the first time I saw your face. I felt just like a rocket shooting up in space. I know in love they say you should take it slow, but I've got a better idea, don't you know? I wanna jump, I wanna jump in love with you. I just wanna jump, I wanna jump in love with you. Don't wanna fall, slip, slide or slump. I just wanna jump, the frog, the bunny, the cricket and the kangaroo. Ain't got nothing on me when it comes to making my move on you. I'm an animal whenever you're around, and I just can't keep my feet on the ground. I wanna jump in love with you. I just wanna jump, I wanna jump in love with you. Don't wanna fall, slip, slide or slump. I just wanna jump. Don't wanna fall asleep, slide, slump, I drop, dip right in the dump. Well, you better watch out, 'cause baby, I'm gonna jump.
Oh, that is amazing.
Thank
I want to
you.
jump. Boy, you make me want to jump, and I'll tell you, that's fantastic. Well, first of all, introduce everybody in the band, if you wouldn't mind.
I'm gonna hand this to
Yeah, this is Khalil.
Hello, everybody. My name is Khalil Sabah. I enjoy music, sports, and arts and crafts.
Oh, I have to. Okay, my name is Drew Wicks, and I play bass and make kombucha, among other things.
Wow.
My name is Chris Flanders, aka Flandita. I play guitar and I also make kombucha.
Wow, there's something going on here.
Yes, and I'm Ginger Smith, and I sing and write the songs, and I also make kombucha.
All right, so what's going on with the kombucha? Why?
I'm actually the only one in the band who doesn't make kombucha. Seeing that we live together, I get.
You
drinks
have
it.
to
He
get the
drinks it.
residual effect of kombucha. Now, what's the deal with kombucha? Why?
It's
What has it done for you?
It's a happy fungus. I mean, let's just admit it.
I think all of America is a happy fungus. But now, so
Well, I started it, and I spread it around, and everybody likes my disease. Well, yes, they call the SCOBY, which makes the kombucha, the mother, and
it is a mushroom.
it is. It's yes.
This place has some significance to you. The Cow's End Cafe.
Yes, Ed.
40 feet from the ocean.
Steps
30 feet from 30 feet from freedom.
and inches from our hearts.
That's true. And
Because
what happened?
Well, here's what happened, Ed. Ginger and I proposed to Ginger on the Venice Pier. Did you know that, Vanda? Yeah,
That's fantastic.
I proposed to Ginger on the Venice Pier, and yeah, what do you mean? It was original. It was raining. It was like the worst day to possibly do it, but I had to get it done on like that specific weekend, and so I lured her out to the edge of the end of the Venice Pier when it was raining and clouds. It was terrible, and I proposed. She said yes. We got so excited. We came into the Cow's End and called our family to tell them the good news, and it's been perfect ever since. Every day.
That is a fantastic. That's perfect.
I don't think I've been in the Cow's End since then. So
And I hope that it's bringing back some very fond memories.
yeah, I mean
seems like
it was 30 years ago, the same day as King's Speech. It's crazy.
Everything that's important happened
That's
30
right.
years ago.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
right.
that.
Dr. King's speech was 30 years ago.
30 years
and
ago.
then Kevin Bacon and Footloose. I mean, those are the
30.
the
Well,
same weekend.
Listen, it's all part of the world, isn't
That's
it?
right.
Fortunately or unfortunately. Now, I have to ask you also. You do a show at your house. At your house.
That's correct.
You told me something once. You decided that when you got married, performing was not going to stop. It wasn't
Correct.
going to stop to raise the kids. It was going to be the kids were going to be enrolled in this performing life somehow.
Well, Ginger and I have a small house in Culver City, and it's got a decent-sized family room, and we host basically a monthly open mic night for artists and performers and musicians and poets and anyone who's got something to do. But you can't come to it, so don't worry about it. You can't come unless we know you or you know Ed. So it's not like I'm broadcasting. Hey, come on over to my family room, everyone.
Right.
But we've been doing it for about 8-9 years, and it's the first weekend of the month, and it's very consistent even through the birth of our children. We still do this ridiculous little thing. Vanda, one of the guests, has been there many times. You've been there.
Yeah.
Drew and Chris have been there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get Roy to come and check it out.
It is an amazing show. When you
It
say
is.
you're doing a show in your living room, because somebody told me about it.
It's a secret. It's a
David
underground.
Zasloff said they're
Yeah.
doing a show, and I went and I said, well, I know they're doing a show in their living room. Okay. It's an amazing show. It's
the
like you
greatest
go and
show
you
ever.
see a variety of people, really talented, brilliant, having a good time, doing what they were meant to do, which in L.A. you don't always see.
Right.
And I'm using air quotes when I say always.
And also doing what they're meant to do, because sometimes when they're like the meth cookers, we don't let them in our family room doing their meth on our floor. But that's
Right.
just those people.
Well, they're meth actors.
Yeah,
they're
they're method
they-
actors.
yeah, they're pretenders. I mean, there's only one meth lab, and that's Breaking Bad. All right, well, all you other people, put it away because Bryan Cranston has the market cornered on it now. All right, so you're going to come back. You're going to do another song for us, and thank you. So that's a fantastic. So you write all the songs?
I don't write all of the songs that we perform
Right.
because we do a lot of 3-hour gigs, and so we will do even 4 hours.
How do you pace yourself for 4 hours
Well,
when you're singing and putting in that much energy?
It's kombucha. What can we say?
It's kombucha. Well, happy blues band.
We all take turns. I sing the majority, but then we all take turns, and everybody. I get little breaks, and
So it's really like Woodstock, but you're the band. You're the only band. It's basically what it is.
and it's only one genre of music.
And it's only one genre. It's like Woodstock. All right. Well,
Just
now,
because
there's no
she's-
need to shout.
Well, I'm
No,
sorry.
all right,
Yeah.
all right.
Ginger is not the great advertiser of herself, so I should just say that her songwriting ability it's all of a sudden she kind of clued into this vein of creativity, and she starts churning out songs in parking lots of grocery stores. Yeah, she writes a song on the back of her grocery list. She comes back, and that night she writes it, and then with the help of Chris on guitar, they have a song. And all of a sudden, we're like, I guess we're putting it in the lineup for this Sunday. You know, it's really amazing what she's been doing.
Well,
So
most
she's
people go
generated a lot.
shopping and they go to Whole Foods and they spend $1,000 on a piece of watermelon,
Yep.
and then they have nothing. You go, you still have the $1,000 watermelon, but you have a song. So it's all worth it.
That's a nice way to look at it.
It's all worth it. It is a very
Yeah,
sweet way.
I
isn't
like
it?
that.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. It's such a pleasure. Oh, by the way, and I agree with you because they were going to do a song on another show that I had, and I heard this song that Ginger did at Pozone, and I thought it was a Billie Holiday song. I thought it was a classic Billie Holiday song, and I said, "Can we get the rights to it? Can we get who wrote that? Can we get the rights to it?" She said, "I wrote it," and I'm like, "Come on." And here I am at home in my pajamas all day. What am I doing? All right. Well, thank you guys. The Hardshine Blues Band. They'll be back a little bit later in the show. Okay. Well, right now we have a great interview coming up for you. This young lady, I got a note, got an email one day from Princeton University, and it was this young lady who is a writer and has been around comedy for a little while in her life, interning at the Colbert Report, which is a pretty good place to learn about comedy. But what she's doing is a very interesting study, and the study is about the relationship, the connection between mental health, depression, and comedic brilliance. So she's going all over the country interviewing comedians about depression and comedic brilliance in their own personal lives and professional lives. So here's my interview with Amy Solomon. What brings you to this place? Like, why would this be your thesis?
Okay, so I grew up in Chicago doing Second City and I.O. and the Annoyance and the whole improv circuit there.
Right.
And then I'm also a journalism major, so was looking to write like a piece of journalism, clearly. And then I also have pretty serious depression and anxiety. So it's a combination of all my favorite things.
I'm sorry. I thought you said you had a serious depression and anxiety issue. Now, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you decided to turn this into something.
Yeah. Essentially, I grew up thinking, like, my life is too great. My parents are great. I have, like, a great childhood. I'm never going to be able to be a comedian because nothing bad's going on. And all the people that I worship are fucked up.
So I got to bring it down.
Yeah.
I got to bring it down and bring it in.
Yeah.
I got to go to this funky town.
Yeah, essentially.
All right. So now, so how did this manifest itself? The anxiety and the depression, like in your life.
Yeah.
Like what happened?
Well, I've had panic attacks since I was in second grade. I broke my leg in second grade skiing, and that sort of brought on the anxiety. And so I've had panic attacks since then, and been something I dealt with. And then freshman year of college, I sort of broke down. Was my big ol' nervous breakdown.
Really?
Yeah.
And what did you do? How did you come out of that? How did you deal with it? And how do you take care of yourself?
Yeah. Luckily, I have unbelievably supportive parents, and I go to school in Jersey, and they moved to D.C. I grew up in Chicago, but they moved to D.C. So it was pretty easy. I mean, I took the train constantly to D.C. to go stay with them because it was the anxiety was centered on campus. It was like the campus took it on. So I was constantly going to see them, and they were really great. And like the mental health services at Princeton are incredible. And so I got through it. I was really lucky that it was at a time in the school year that like we have winter break, and then we take our finals in January. So you come back from winter break and you take your finals, and you don't start classes till like the first week of February. So it happened in this period where I wasn't really in class, so it was like time to deal with it. But yeah, so I was lucky that meds worked for me.
The right meds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are there any things that you've learned to do for yourself when these kind of things happen, these kind of feelings come on?
I have to stay busy is my thing. So like free time is what messes me up essentially. So like I have to, even if I have to sit down and do work, I have to like write it in my Google Calendar as like, this is a thing you have to do. Like this is the time when you need to sit down and write for those 3 hours. Cause like even 3 hours to me of free time is like scary.
Okay, so now you're doing this thesis,
Yeah.
and you're going around. Now, how is this affecting your life?
So have you ever read Andrew Solomon's book, Noonday Demon? It's a really incredible book about depression. And he wrote in the foreword saying, if you have depression, never write about it. Like, don't take a big endeavor to explore it in that way. And I found that he said it brought him into like one of the darkest times of his life, writing the book. And I found it to be the exact opposite. Because basically what I've been doing all summer is interviewing people I admire about this, and it just like to talk to people about it and to say, and they're also open and so incredible about talking about it. And like when we identify with, someone told me today that she used to compulsively wash her hair in sinks in public malls. Like she couldn't make it through the day. And it was just like a big anxiety thing for her. And I used to have a thing about washing my hair. So it's like connecting with people and feeling like much less alone about it in your own head. It has helped me more than anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the people that you've talked to.
Yeah.
First of all, I saw that on your. I looked at your website or your Twitter, and you had pictures of Gilda Radner.
She's my idol.
Why is that? Why would somebody so young as yourself? Because Saturday Night Live kind of came before you.
Yeah. Well, I grew up worshiping Maya Rudolph and Amy Poehler were my two big ladies on SNL. And then my parents were like, actually, the SNL you watch is terrible. And the SNL that we grew up with was what was incredible. And it was right around the time that they first started releasing the like full original seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know how many they've released. They've at least released the first 5, like full every single episode. And I got the first season, 1975, for Christmas one year. We do Hanukkah and Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with Gilda. She was just like, she was so childlike and innocent, and everyone that you could see on the show was just obsessed with her. And like, you can see in their eyes that they just like loved her so much, and she was so incredible. And her book, It's Always Something, is incredible, and I read that. And there's a play that Alan Zweibel wrote about her called Bunny Bunny, about their friendship, that I read like every week.
Well, Alan's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he came on the show and he told the story about the first day on Saturday Night Live. He's
Yeah.
always wanted to work. This is his dream. Mm-hmm. And he sees Belushi and he sees Chevy Chase and he sees Aykroyd and he starts to get nervous.
Yeah.
And he hides behind a potted plant.
This is in
You
the
know
play.
this story?
Yeah, it's so good.
And he hides behind a potted plant and he hears, psst, what are you doing back there? I'm hiding. Do you mind if I hide with you? And it was Gilda Radner, and they had been friends ever since.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, her vulnerability is because her characters are deep. They're not shallow. They're not surfacey. They're
Yeah.
very deep, and they come from a real place.
No one's ever played a kid better than Judy Miller. Character
Throwing herself against the wall.
Incredible.
I mean, that's fantastic. Now, and I will tell you that Saturday Night Live, we used to, this was an event. You would stop everything on Saturday night, and everybody at Syracuse University would sit in the dorm in the main hall and turn on the TV. And we'd watch the whole thing together. It was a communal experience.
I was watching a very different SNL, but I didn't miss it live for 3 years, from 7th to 10th grade.
Wow.
It was out of control. I left every bar mitzvah party early.
Well, you were right to do that. I'm having bar mitzvah flashbacks, and that's not good. So tell me, who have you interviewed that's particularly stood out for you or been surprising in some ways that you may not have thought?
I talked to Sarah Silverman yesterday.
Not familiar. No. Old friend. Yeah.
I guess she was a little surprising in that just she was like the sweetest person on the face of the earth. And sometimes her comedy can be kind of shocking. And she said yesterday she just hates that everything she reads about herself is like potty mouth comic Sarah Silverman, that kind of thing.
Right.
I don't think of her that way, but she was just so sweet. That's actually been a surprising thing, is everyone I've talked to has been unbelievably kind and generous. Like Mark Maron, I expected to be not the nicest man on the earth. And he has been so nice and has connected me to tons of people and like is really fascinated by the topic. So,
yeah, I mean, I think that there's a big movement now.
Yeah.
Because I know of 2 documentaries coming out.
Yeah.
Because I think that and I really believe this, the way to approach mental health issues is through funny people.
Yeah.
That is the way to approach it, because it's a natural.
Yeah.
And it's a natural for media, it's a natural for books, it's a natural for everything. But because they can welcome it in a different way, and the idea of resisting something. I mean, depression already is you're holding something down that wants to come up. Do you know how hard? Of course you do. Everyone does. It's the hardest job in the world, and there's no holidays. The holidays are the worst. There's no breaks. It's a 365-day-a-year job. To push down something that naturally wants to come up. So to welcome it is freedom. And it's really hard to believe that.
Yeah.
But it really is.
I mean, most of the people I've talked to who are in a good place with it. I mean, I haven't been just doing stand-ups. I also do improvisers and sketch comedians and just comedic actors. But stand-ups oftentimes talk about it in their acts, so it's pretty easy to get them to open up about it. But so many people say that the time that they are least in their head and the time that they feel the most just free with it and that their anxieties aren't holding them back is when they're on stage and they're actually like doing it and like having a great set. And that's like the best feeling in the world. And that's why they're so addicted to it, because it's like the only time that they feel like that.
The therapy of it.
Yeah.
Now, I should say, I mean, you come from a very interesting family because, and to me, when you tell me what your parents do, I think immediately pressure. And maybe I'm wrong about that because they sound like amazing people. But why don't you share what kind of people these are?
Yeah, they're fancy Jews.
Which is a whole tribe of people who live
Jews.
in a fancy mansion.
I asked my dad today what he thought about my thesis, essentially, and he was like, I think it is a fascinating inquiry into an area that has not been explored much. I was like, why a fancy way to say that?
Not a man who's in his head. No.
They are like Ivy League fancy Jews, and they, my parents, well, we were in Chicago, and my dad grew up in Hyde Park, and I went to school at the University of Chicago Laboratory School, which is also where President Obama's kids went before they left. And so my parents got really involved in the campaign, and I did too, when he started running in 2008, and ended up moving to D.C. to work for the administration. So that's what they do.
What do they do for him?
So my mom does the budget for the White House. Yeah.
Mom does the budget for the White House.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a Jew. Oh, go figure. Yeah. It's hard.
She's not a Jew.
She's not. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah. It's very cool. It's she moved and worked for the transition team, the budget for the transition team, and then worked on in the Department of Education for Arne Duncan, who we're big fans of, Secretary of Education. And did the budget for them. So they got a ton of money from the stimulus. And they were unbelievably efficient about getting the money out, like into the world, where a lot of departments were criticized for not doing that so fast. And so she worked on that. And now she does the Executive Office of the President's budget. Yeah.
The Executive Office of the President's budget.
Yeah.
Do you have her home number? No. Now, what is her response to the work that you're doing? What does she think about it? And does she think that there might be a place of interest in the White House?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think she thinks it's interesting. I think my dad's like the big comedy fan, and like the funniest person I know. So he's really fascinated by it. Okay. And I always felt like sometimes we'd have conversations where it made me feel like he always wished he'd been gone into comedy. and I'm kind of like living the dream for him a little bit.
Sure.
So he's totally fascinated by it. I think they think I won't finish it because I don't finish anything, I think they're concerned about that. But I will, because I have to graduate.
I'm going to get very depressed if you don't finish it.
No, and
Even
I'm
more
hoping
so.
to publish it as like a real thing, not just.
Well, this is the funny thing is I'm picturing an advisory board, and I'm picturing a room in Princeton, and slides coming up, and the slide is like, "This is Mark Maron. He's extremely depressed." No, that's right. He has a podcast. He does it in his garage. Next slide. No, I mean I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. My advisors are really supportive. I have Evan Thomas is the former editor of Newsweek. He's a cool guy. He's really fascinated by it, to his credit, because he writes like biographies of Nixon. Like, it's just, he couldn't be further.
This has got to be a tremendous antidote for him, because that's not an exciting subject.
No, he writes presidential biographies.
Yeah.
And then my other advisor is Julian Zelizer, who writes for CNN. But
You're like, don't you know? It's like Woody Allen said. You know, he's a genius, and this one is a genius. You should meet some stupid people once in a while. I mean, do you know? I mean, they're so highfalutin people. Is it comfortable for you? Is it easy for you to be around these people?
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous at Princeton. I mean, I am the luckiest person on the face of the planet, because like they've paid for all of this research for me to fly out here and do like all of the interviews and everything.
Wait a minute. Say that again, please, for our home viewers.
They pay for all my research.
They pay for all your research.
They have like, it's nuts. It came out last year that like a garden on campus has $1 million a year budget. This one garden on campus. So
Well, I'm sure the flowers talk, and I'm sure they have a lot to say.
I've picked multiple flowers from that garden. So
Well, let me tell you about myself. I've looked at life from no sides now. All right. So
it's incredible. And I mean, like the fact that like John McPhee is one of my professors. He writes for the New Yorker. He's one of the greatest journalists of all time. And I can email him and he'll edit whatever I want him to. It's unbelievable. I had Joyce Carol Oates was one of my professors. David Kelly last semester. Just ridiculous.
very lazy people. All right. Well, it's a wonderful area to approach. I think that it will help a lot of people, because I think people follow comedians, and this could be a way. And let me explain what that noise is. We have a segment on the show called Who's Coming In? And basically it's a celebrity garage segment. When I hit the thing with my hip, it opens the garage, and then there's a celebrity waiting in the garage. Yeah. So it's a whole segment that we've added to the show.
Who is it this episode?
I'm sorry. It's actually, it is Mark Maron, and we're now going to close the garage. No. No, you never know who's coming in. All right. Well, so you're gonna. Will you report? Can we talk to you again about this?
For sure.
Okay. I'd like to visit with you again, and I'm very happy that you're doing this, and wish you lots of good things with it.
Thanks.
And I'm glad that you found something that for your own self, has been transformative.
Yeah. I mean, I was obsessed when I was like at the darkest days to read about people who had been open about their struggles. Like Gilda wrote really openly about her bulimia since she was very little, and a lot of people like that. Sarah Silverman's book, The Bedwetter, is incredible, and she's so open about it. And if I can like write something where people I really admire and people admire are so open about the things that they've struggled with, I think it could be helpful.
Nice to see you.
Hey, thanks.
Amy Solomon, everybody. Come on. Amy, that's great. Great, Amy. All right, you've been listening to Amy Solomon right here on the Self-Help Comedy Hour. Look for Amy's work. I'm sure that you're going to hear more about it, about the connection between comedic brilliance and depression, or depression and comedic brilliance, depending upon how full your glass is. My next guest was a big stand-up in New York City, and then left the business to pursue a more spiritual life, and became herself a teacher, an educator, a writer, continuing and then coming back to stand-up, combining her spirituality and her comedy. So the spiritual comedy stylings of someone who is a writer, like I said, you can read her work in the book No Kidding, which is edited by Henriette Mantel, and it's about women writers who have bypassed parenthood. And you can also see her all over the country. Here's my conversation with the great Vanda Mikoloski. I could not be happier to finally see you. I know, me too. My God, it's been years. So tell me, the first thing, you can tell when a person is a giving person because right away they walk in, and what do? They give you two things. You give me two things. You gave me one thing, which was a pin from the Church of Self-Realization.
Yeah.
Okay? And the other thing is a pair of underwear.
Yeah.
Well, you really know me.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. Now, can we talk about this just for a minute?
Well, yeah. First of all, I'm
Thank
not
you.
a gift-giving type person. I like those type people. So I'm stepping into that.
I love this.
You know what I mean?
I love this.
Yeah.
This is so kind of you.
Yeah.
Well, now, Church of Self-Realization.
Yes.
What do you do at the Church of Self-Realization?
I don't know. I just went there today for the first time. Someone said to me, I was hanging out with two musician friends of mine, Erica Luckett and Lisa Ferrero, and they said, "You'd like meditation?" I go, "Yeah, I don't have the discipline for it, by myself at home." And they said, "Go to the Self-Realization Fellowship," and I did. I said, "Oh, all right." I looked it up, and today they had a little intro to meditation. I went there today and went to their little shop, and said, "Oh, let me get a little Om thing for Ed."
That's really cool. It's an Om
Yeah.
pin. That's fantastic.
And I made you my deity.
And you now, can you explain that?
Oh, I just picked up a little. You ever get in a space where you're like, "Oh, this park is so lovely," and I'm kind of in this metaphysical space. And then I was thinking about the show tonight, and then I picked up this poem, and it said "God, God, God," but I put Ed, Ed, Ed in it, so I said the whole poem out loud next to the lake shrine, kneeling in front of a statue with my hands like this and thinking of you. No, I'm kidding. I don't.
That is so
Yeah.
kind because I don't know what time that was, but at 3 o'clock
You
I
felt
felt my
something.
heart felt warm.
Yeah.
And then I laid down for a few minutes
Yeah.
because there was a feeling. And I was listening to the song "What If God Was One of Us" and thinking it would be so much better if it was "What If Ed Was One of Us."
Was one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The living part of dead is Ed. That's how I put it. Okay. There's nothing wrong with death. It's overrated. There's nothing wrong with it, but be the living part,
Yeah.
which is the acceptance, which is Ed. I'm going to start doing that all over the road.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm saying. All right. So now I have to ask you because you've done so many interesting things. Starting out as a comic, comics don't do the things that you've done generally.
Right.
You wouldn't have a comic pursue a spiritual life, a spiritual path necessarily.
Right. Not a good career move in many ways. My comedy mentor is here next, our next guest.
We're going to talk to him shortly. Yeah.
30 years ago, we met in New York City and started out doing stand-up at the beginning of the 80s comedy boom.
Wow.
And then at some point I thought, oh, you have to, I don't know where I got this crazy idea. It's not true. But I just attached to this idea like Velcro that you had to choose between your spiritual journey and your worldly ambitions.
Yes.
And I said, well, you know what? I'll do it this way. I'll go and follow my, so I joined like thousands of cults, fringy, spiritual things.
Anything that you had to, that you really felt like I'm kind of trapped here and I can't get out? Any one of those kind of cults? Or was it really just...
No, when you buy into a thought system, you never think you're trapped. You
Right.
never know, you go, oh, I'm trapped in the rightness of my point of view. What human ever goes, I'm trapped in the rightness of my point of view? But we often are, right? I mean, that's where depression comes from. Is it trapped in the rightness of our sense of life sucks or
Right.
I suck or
Giving
something
credence
like that.
and listening to those voices and paying attention and
Yeah.
following them.
Yeah.
And believing that they're you.
Yeah, and if you look at reality, God, it's so funny all this depression stuff talk. Because if you look at reality, it's standing, sitting, or lying down, and that's it. It doesn't get that much harder than that. Swimming,
Right.
working out of the gym if you're him,
Right.
That's it.
Or astral projection.
Or astral projection, or skiing.
Right.
Right?
So
But-
is that what this has come to? Is a simplification of how you move through life? Is that what is that where you have come to.
That's where I've come to. Yeah.
Right.
And just because it's because I had so much depression. You know what I mean? Like I got to the end of, and it's not like it's all in the past. It's like, I mean, I was just telling Mike, I was in the emergency room because I overdosed. I'm not kidding you, on St. John's wort. It's a hippie thing.
I
right?
have never heard of that in my life.
It's a
that
precursor
someone-
to serotonin. It's like
It's a
hippie
natural-
SSRIs, right? It's
It's supposed to be natural,
right. And if you research it like I did, the minute I started having strange symptoms, like my tongue was spasming, and you go, "Ooh, that's not a good thing when your tongue spasms. It's weird." So I looked online, and it said, "Oh, can be fatal, serotonin syndrome." Yeah. And then it looked really bad, you know. So I think I had a little bit of an anxiety attack on top of that. Ended up in the ER, right around here. We should go there after, Mike. We should hang out at the ER. We should.
There's a lot of interesting things happening there.
Yeah. Well, there was. I mean, it was, you know. And then you're there, and I was full of anxiety, kept walking and walking, trying to stop this, you know, like trying to stay alive. I felt like if I stopped walking, I'd die, you know. And this little girl kept fist bumping me. She was about 3 or 4, and she had learned to fist bump every time I walked by. And then I ended up in this room waiting and waiting. Oh, first someone walks in, a 70-year-old lady with her little punk son walks in bleeding from her eye, and I'm like, fuck. You know, fuck the eye bleeder. She's gonna definitely.
She goes first,
right?
Yeah.
And
I got the eye bleeder. I'm not first.
I'm thinking, should I just pretend to pass out? Because I was so anxious. I so thought I was gonna die. I didn't know, you know. And I end up in this little examining room, and this old lady comes in with a tattoo on her neck, and I said, I'm just really afraid I'm gonna die. And she said, you ain't gonna die. She was changing the trash can liner. She goes, you got too much life in you. She said, I see them come in here sometime, and you know they on their way out, but you got too much life in you. He ain't ready for you yet. He ain't ready for you yet. And I was like, oh, you know, like Mike just said, oh, in the next scene, you go back to the hospital and no one works there with a tattoo on the neck.
Right.
Oh, years ago she worked here.
Right. Well, it definitely sounds like that.
And I went home that night and I thought, oh my, you know, we are all brilliant, radiant sparks of life. That's who we, and the lady, the black lady she was the only one with any healing mojo in the ER.
Right. No doctors.
They were busy, you know, putting out fires. They were reacting to life. They weren't present, so they didn't have any healing mojo. Like that's what we have for each other as human beings. We have presence. It's you know. So I came home. I was like, you know, oh, and my friend Boise, who took me, he's also a sometimes comedian, actor, kind of everything guy. And I said, what can I do to, you know, I disrupted his whole night, you know, and had him like, and he's a vegetarian. He was hungry. He had to go eat French fries, which at McDonald's, you know, nearby. And
this is all in the midst of the emergency room. This is the emergency room, and then we're going to have French fries.
He went to get the French fries because he was starving. I interrupted his, you know, dinner, and then when he was gone, the lady and I had our moment, and it was just like magical, you know, and you're in this hyper meta awareness, you know, when you're afraid, it's like everything comes. So, yeah, and I said, what can I do for you for being such a great neighbor, and thank you so much. And he says, love your life. Get to a point where you love your life, you know?
Yeah.
That's all. Do that. And I was like, how can I do that? You know, so I I came home, and it didn't happen right away. I always wanted to be like Eckhart Tolle or Byron Katie or one of these people who they're like right at the edge of suicidal despair and also right at the edge of enlightenment. You know what I mean? Like that's there is this place where you're both, you know.
And they hang with it.
Well, you know, he
hangs with it, and then he goes on the other side.
Yeah, one minute he's a depressed academic at Oxford, the next minute he's a best-selling author doing cruises with Deepak Chopra and stuff, you know. And every time I got depressed, I was like, "Is this going to be the one? Come on, you know, is this going to be the one that gets me on Oprah?"
I always say, "Why him?
Yeah,
why
right.
is that guy?"
You know, there's lots of flowers in the garden. You know, you had 2 gay guys here before, right? So whatever. But
I always hear that story. It is the same story over and over again. It's not like. It's the same story. And the story is, I was about to die, and then I stayed with that until I passed to something else, until something else occurred.
Right.
And the something else that occurs is you start to live.
Right.
And usually they're tremendous anxiety attacks. They're massive. I mean, I've heard that story. I heard
Yeah.
it from Eckhart Tolle. I've heard it from other gurus.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, and then you start comparing yourself to them.
I know,
You
right?
say, why aren't I as good at having why aren't my anxiety attacks as good? You know, what's wrong? Why can't I do anxiety as much as they can? Why can't I handle it? I'm in boot camp.
Oh, that's so funny.
So it's like and then I think I asked you. I was going to ask you, like, are these people funny?
Well, some of them, I think Eckhart Tolle is hysterical. He does this little thing where he talks about people who aren't present. He goes, they're very, they're like, I can't do it. It's visual, guys. But
Yeah, that's okay. That's
but he does this funny little thing of people who aren't present, watching them in their cars and being, they're in their minds, they're in their them bubbles, and they're not there.
Right.
For all purposes, they're not in that easy reality I talked about, where you're sitting, standing, lying down. They're not in that reality. They're in that reality, which is where I've spent a great deal of time. I wake up into it every morning, into worry, concern, considerations. And I like what the Sufis say when they say, if you don't wake up in the morning and dance to the bathroom, you're depressed.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's dance, shit, shower, and shave, right?
Boy, I've got a long,
I know.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I've got to start drinking more coffee
Yeah.
before I wake up.
I've had moments in the last few months since that emergency room thing, and where I kind of get aware of my own awareness and go, wait, what's the deal here? You're in a body. It's marvelous, amazing right now what it's doing. Look at the walls, wherever you are, it doesn't matter, just anything, just granting reality its beingness, if you will. I don't know how to speak, but granting things their reality,
Physical, tangible.
feeling the blood course through your hand or whatever. Yeah, and
The
it's
body.
like, yeah,
The
that's
physical.
before I went on stage, I used to do that. If I was nervous, I'd just put my attention in my hands and go, oh, that's real. And everything else is ga 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 la la la. There's nothing threatening about standing in front of a room of people talking. There's no authentic threat.
Right. Yeah, there's very little, I mean, when you come to it, there's very few authentic threats.
Yeah. Well,
There
driving
are
in a
some.
car at 80 miles an hour with other cars next to you,
Right.
That's like kind of
In other words, Los Angeles.
Right.
All right. So, yeah. And the new definition of insanity is living in L.A., being in show business, and expecting a different result. So that is the definition. So now, okay. So, but you are somebody who's worked, you've also done a lot of work in your body, and you've done yoga and taught yoga. Now, you got to take me through, because when I'm reading about you, and I'm reading, it's just like a throwaway line. It says in the middle of this incredible stuff that you've been doing, oh, by the way, did yoga with the Dixie Chicks on tour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's a complex sentence.
Right.
Did yoga, got me, okay, with the Dixie Chicks, crazy.
Yeah.
On tour,
Yeah.
crazier.
Yeah.
What is that about, and how do you and how did that what did that?
I went from being the most broke yoga teacher ever out in the middle, which sucks being a broke yoga teacher, because you go namaste, but you're thinking ka-ching every time someone walks in, right? Like, oh yeah, $10 more, right?
Wow.
The
Yeah.
broke yoga teacher in me honors the middle class person who can afford yoga, and you, man.
I honor. Yeah. Wow.
So and I went from that to like making more money than I'd ever made before, going to 5-star hotels all over 88 cities in 7 months. And, I was also the massage person, so I'm rubbing the naked bodies of these super hot superstars thinking, which lesbian's vision board did I look at? This is awesome.
So you're doing the Dixie Chicks, and you're
Yeah.
doing, like, what kinds of special circumstances do they have? It's like, oh, I have a kink in my neck now.
Well, no. They're young. They were in their, like, Marty was the oldest one at her late 20s,
Oh,
you
geez,
know.
yeah.
So they're, your body's like elastic then, So
Today we're gonna. So you're sitting in a room, and there's people are sitting, the band is sitting down, and they're going through yoga poses.
No, we go into a big cement venue, and I'd try to argue with the stage manager about which room I wanted for them, and then I'd vibe it out. I'd go in and vibe it out and make sure, your concern is that they don't have exposure to a lot of germs because they're the cash cow,
Right.
So make the room nice and hang pipe and drape and stuff, and then and make it pretty, and peaceful in there. And then, and they like power yoga. They like the vinyasa style. I don't know if you know, like sun salute based yoga.
Flow.
And yeah, exactly. And so I would just run them through that. And sometimes I'd run them through, like I studied lots and lots of yoga because I just, like a lot of forms. So I did classical Ashtanga. I taught myself to teach some Kundalini. I got certified to teach Bikram, and then just fell in love with all yoga. And I took yoga everywhere. I went around the country. I just call, like Manhattan, Kansas, I'd call some yoga teacher, and she'd say, "Oh, I'll pick you up, and we'll go to this yurt, no clothes," or something like that,
I'll pick you up and we'll go to this yurt.
Yeah,
That's not something that you hear every day.
Right. So it was but I just and just completely embroiled myself in the world of yoga, and so yeah.
And then you went away from comedy for a little bit, and then what made you want to come back to comedy?
My cult became famous. I was I was a Ramtha person. You've heard of the phenomenon of channeling, whatever that is.
Yes.
Who knows? But there's this lady who allegedly has a 35,000-year-old warrior from Atlantis or something, being channeled through her. Well, if you can get over that, and there were many smart people who could get over that, I would look around and go like, there's a Harvard-educated maverick doctor over there. He's here, and so I'm not out of my mind crazy. Anyway, it didn't matter to me if she was a charlatan acting the whole thing, because I thought it was brilliant stuff, and I got a lot out of it, and I stayed there for years, and then at some point became disenchanted, and the movie What the Bleep Do We Know came out, which was all about quantum physics and the nature of reality, and that was all born out of the sort of cosmology of Ramtha, and we got a lot of like kind of fringe physicists and scientists in there. Some of them not real happy about the way they were used, and they did conferences. I put together a comedy act again to do the conferences about quantum physics and nature of reality, and whatever. So, and then before long, I realized you don't have to choose between your worldly ambitions and your spiritual path. You come out of the cave, So I came out of the cave, came back to Los Angeles. I'm in heaven being with funny people. I love it. Like I told Mike, you can go ahead and shoot me now after tonight. I'm so happy to be here. You know what I mean?
That is great.
It's true.
That feeling is terrific. It's the community.
Yeah.
It's the community. It's that spirit.
Yeah.
It's the same spirit that the lady who was in the emergency room had. It's that same place.
Yeah.
It's just, takes different forms, I guess.
You ain't gonna die.
I love it. Wouldn't that be great?
You ain't
I need
gonna
her in my house like every 5
You
seconds.
ain't gonna die.
I need to hear that every 5
You
seconds.
got too much life in you.
That was Vanda Mikoloski right here on the Self-Help Comedy Hour with Ed Crasnick. One more time for the fabulous Hard Shine Blues Band, everybody. Come on!
Waiting for you to come through. I'm waiting for you to come through. Yes, and do all the things you know you ought to do. Yeah, you took me from my mama's home, said you'd do me right. Now I sit here all alone every day and night, just waiting for you to come through. I'm waiting for you to come through. I'm waiting for you to come through. Yes, and do all the things you know you ought to do. Yeah. on the other side, just waiting for you to come through. I'm waiting for you to come through. I'm waiting for you to come through. Yes, and do all the things you know you ought to do. Now I don't want to fuss and fight. You're never gonna get that from me. My backside as I'm walking out the door. The only thing you're gonna see, 'cause I'm done waiting for you to come through. I'm waiting for you to come through. I'm waiting for you to come through. Yes, and do all the things you know you ought to do. I'm waiting for you to come through. I'm waiting for you to come through and do all the things you know you ought to. Do all the things you know you've got to. Do all the things you know you ought to do. Hey!
That was the Hardshine Blues Band playing some great music for you. Well, this has been an amazing show. Quite an array here of guests and talent. And I want to thank everybody for coming. I want to thank the great Evan Mann and Gareth Reynolds. Evan and Gareth, you can see all their stuff on evanandgareth.com. I want to thank Amy Solomon for her interesting work, great work on the connection between depression, mental health, and comedic brilliance. Look for more on that. I want to thank Vanda Mikoloski for her incredible spiritual comedy work, and also the book No Kidding, edited by Henriette Mantel. You can look for that book, and Vanda is a contributor to that, as well as all of her other work. And Vanda Mikoloski, find her on Facebook. And also, I want to thank, last but certainly not least, the Hardshine Blues Band, that you can find out about all their music on ReverbNation.com. I want to thank the Cow Zen Cafe and Clabe Hartley and Thea Hartley for letting me be here. And I want to thank Jason Tanner for helping me. The Self-Help Comedy Hour is heard each and every week on WreckingBallRadio.net. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Next week, another great show. I'm Ed Crasnick. Have a great week.